the people that help make all of that possible are our team hosts. They work tirelessly, volunteering their time to make sure players and coaches are comfortable, informed, entertained, and on time. Team hosts provide so much more than a service to players and coaches. They provide a friendship and a very important support system while they're here. Having closely watched many of our hosts interact with the players, I can say that this event brings out a youthful exuberance in our team hosts, no matter how many years they do this very worthwhile task. Simply put, without our team hosts, Little League could not provide the incredible memories that last lifetimes. Now is the time of the program where we will pair the team hosts with the Little League World Series team. The first draw honors the team hosts with the most combined years of service. Years of service of 52 years. George Girio and Larry Missingman. Larry will be drawing. Great Lakes. Also with 52 years of service, Mick Chofie and Denny Logan. Denny will be drawing. Europe, Africa. With 41 years of service, Dick Wrights and Willie Weather. Willie will be drawn.
Dick said Dick B. I don't want to look. North Pole.
Japan. With 36 years of service, Edward Weinhofer and Richard Smith. Richard. West. 35 years of service, Peter Lupacino and Bruce Sechrist. Bruce. With 34 years of service, Hess Wirtz and Charles Snyder. Australia. Also with 34 years of service, William Castle and Scott Metzger. Southwest. "33 years of service. Midwest. 32 years of service. Dennis Lohner and Lynn Datris. Canada. 30 years of service. Thomas Rachel and Jim Kreiner. Mid-Atlantic. 29 years of service, Gary Weaver and Frank Missingman. "28 years of service, Marlon Cromley, Stan Helt Sr. Mexico. 26 years of service, Carlos Zet, Doug Alexander. New England. 24 years of service, Ron Frick, Van Ransom. Asia Pacific. 22 years of service, John Eastlake, Jeff Tompkins. Southeast. 17 years of service, Mike Knight and Mike Lundy. Northwest. Little League would also like to recognize our World Series utility hosts who often work in the office and sub when needed. These individuals, 1 year of service, Mike Miller. Chuck DeLuca, 3 years of service, Josh Lupacino. 7 years of service, Gary Mayers. 10 years of service, Carol Weinhofer. Ladies and gentlemen, a big... Now's the time to select the game pairings for the 2015 Little League Baseball World Series. The initial game for each team at the series is determined by a random selection. To help with the team pairings, we have some very special guests. We have 2 players and their buddies who will be participating in this year's Challenger exhibition game. For those of you who don't know, the Challenger division was established in 1989 as a separate division of Little League to enable boys and girls with some challenges to enjoy the game of baseball. Today, more than 30,000 children participate in more than 900 Challenger divisions worldwide. This year's event takes place on Saturday, August 29th. That you attend. You will be inspired. It is by far my most favorite part of the Little League Baseball World Series. Playing in this year's game is the First Colony Little League from Sugar Land, Texas, and State College Little League from State College, Pennsylvania. Helping with this year's draw from the State College Little League, please welcome Tanya Roberts and her buddy Matthew Mings, and Gabe Billy and his buddy Jacob Hillard. Dig right in. Caribbean. One note before we continue. Due to the completion date of the Canadian Championships later this summer, and to ensure that each team's pitchers are available for the start of the games here in Williamsport, the team from Canada, and you'll hear later Mid-Atlantic is the same, will not be assigned to play on Thursday, August 20th. If they are slotted for a Thursday game, they will be the first international game on Friday, August 21st. So, we have Caribbean, and Caribbean will play Europe, Africa. Game 3 on Thursday. Canada, which will back to game 3. Latin America. Latin America will play Australia. Now, one other note before we continue. We already have our first qualifier for here in Williamsport. Congratulations to the Cronulla Little League team from Sydney who won the Australian Region Championship. On to game 5. Canada will play Mexico. And game 7, Japan. Japan will play Asia Pacific. Southwest plays game 2 on Thursday. Gabe Billy, that sounds like a ball player. Gabe Billy. Northwest. Game 4, the U.S. bracket. Great Lakes. Great Lakes will play West. Game 6, the U.S. bracket.
New England.
New England. New England will play. Southeast. Midwest. Midwest will play Mid-Atlantic. Thank you for everybody's help. The pairings are complete. I'd like to thank the State College Middle, Tanya Roberts, Matthew Mims, David Billy, and Jacob Ford. Good luck on August 29th. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'd like to introduce and welcome President and CEO of Little League Baseball and Softball, Steve Keenan.
And special thank you to our friends from State College. I can't underscore it enough that how important the Challenger game has become such an important part of the annual Little League World Series. And what we're hoping for is that it gets big enough that we have to move it out of Volunteer Stadium and over to Lomini Stadium. We're getting close, but thank you again for helping us out. We'll look forward to seeing you back here in another couple of weeks. I want to welcome you all to the 2015 Little League World Series Luncheon. Thank you for joining us. I say this every year, but it really is. It's the start of our summer here at Little League International, which will conclude about 6 or 8 weeks from now with the 69th Little League World Series, August 20th to the 30th, which you've, of course, just seen the pairings. A number of guests that are with us today. In fact, everybody in this room has some connection to our event, to our program, and we could introduce all of you, but I do want to thank some of our board members for coming out, Steve Johnson and Tim Hughes. Thank you for joining us. I thought I saw Joe. Where's Joe? Oh, Joe's back here. Our corporate secretary, Joe Losh, is sitting in the back there. Of course, Dr. Creed Hale, and my favorite Little League lady, Beverly, his wife. So nice to have you. Nice to have you both with us as well. And sitting here, several of the officers of our organization, Dave Hausnick, Pat Wilson, and Melissa Singer. Certainly Dave and Pat as our two senior vice presidents. They work hard, they do a great job, and they lead a very competent, capable team of our staff here. To help put on what we think is certainly the premier showcase youth sports event around the world. So thank you to all for doing that. There is somebody missing today, and I just want to let him know that we're thinking about him. We wish he could be here. Many of you know Bill Byam, dear friend of this program. He's been a broadcaster for a radio broadcaster for many years at the Little League World Series, and I know he would, but he can't be. And we certainly wish him well, and just want to know we're thinking about it today. So we wish that he was here. We've always had a busy and eventful summer. Certainly last year, as Wayne indicated, we celebrated our 75th anniversary, so our program turns 76 years old this year. I was alerted when I came in today that one of our team hosts was born today. Happens to be the same age as our program. So I just want to wish Hess Wirtz a happy birthday today, Hess. Happy birthday. You look 56. All right. Good. But we have had an eventful year since last August. Many highlights. We've also had a few challenges. One thing that I can assure you that Little League International will always do is remain committed to the values of fair play, and no matter what the consequences of being committed to that may bring. Next week, the summer really gets rolling here. We start off by working with the Lycoming County law enforcement agencies to host the Camp Cadet program, another fabulous program. Many of you have ever seen the Camp Cadet program up close. You ought to take a minute sometime and stop by. And certainly a tip of the cap to all the folks at with the various law enforcement agencies who help put on the program. I know Tim Nelson really directs the program, but I know he gets a lot of help from the other law enforcement officials in the county. It's a great program. We're thrilled to be able to help host it, and hope we can continue to do so for many years. But that gets underway next week. Of course, that'll be followed by every year we have 5 or 6 weeks of summer baseball camp. This year we're expecting, I think, just around 1,200 kids from all across the United States will travel here for a week at a time for a week of fun-filled summer baseball and a great experience. Additionally, this year we're really happy about this. We're going to be hosting, I think it's 32, if I get the number right. Nick Caringi told me the other day, children, young boys and girls who are going to come participate in our camp program this year. So we'll look forward to welcoming them a little later this summer as well. On Golf Classic, making a little bit of a change to it this year. We've held it in conjunction with the Major League Baseball Players Alumni Association for 28 years, and we're going to make a little detour from that. It's getting harder and harder to get 25 or 30 former Major League Baseball players committed to coming to the event. So we're going to take a little different direction. We'll have some announcements about that coming up in the future, but we anticipate having at least a couple of Hall of Fame baseball players here to participate. One thing I can share with you, one real nice addition to it this year, the new commissioner of Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred, will be coming to join us for the event this year as well. And so we're really looking forward to having him be part of it this year too. So you hear more about that as the plans develop. Then really things really get going on August 19th. We get started with a great sort of interactive picnic that is hosted for the teams and the players and the umpires. Penn College hosts that event every year. They do a fabulous job with it. Really one of the first times that the kids are all together under one big tent. And it's fun to be there and see them all start to interact with each other who they just met each other the day or so before that event. So they go to the picnic on the 19th, and then they leave there and they go right over to the terrific Grand Slam parade that's put on by our Williamsport Lycoming Chamber of Commerce. And so the evening of the 19th through downtown Williamsport, all the teams and the umpires and people who are involved with this great program will be celebrated at the Grand Slam parade. I know Vince is here. I don't know if Jason's here or not, but thanks again for doing that, Vince. I mean, that parade has really become one of the great elements of the Little League World, part of it. Next day, on the 20th, as you saw, the pairings were made. The 16 teams will begin their pursuit of a Little League World Series championship. A couple of notes. I always like this stuff. I guess whether you like it or not doesn't matter, because I always find these little things interesting, and I like to share them with people. Last October, if you remember, the San Francisco Giants won the Major League Baseball World Series. Well, by the Giants winning the World Series, some baseball history was made. For the first time in baseball history, a member of the Major League Baseball World Series champion was also a Little League World Series champion. It's never happened in baseball history before that a player has won both the Little League World Series championship and the Major League Baseball World Series championship. Yusmeiro Petit is the player. He's a relief pitcher for the Giants. Played here in 1990, who won the championship. So a little bit of baseball history there. About several weeks ago, a little bit more Little League World Series history was made down in Tampa, Florida. First time again in baseball history. The two teams that squared off against each other on Memorial Day, I think it was May 25th, were each managed by a Little League World Series alum. Never happened before. The Seattle Mariners were in Tampa to play the Tampa Rays. Lloyd McClendon, who many of you know all about. Lloyd is manager of the Seattle Mariners, and played here in the 1971 Little League World Series. And Kevin Cash, who is now the new manager of the Tampa Rays, played here in 1989 for the Tampa North Side Little League, representing the southern region. So it's the first time in baseball history two opposing managers were both Little League World Series alums. So I hope you like it. Kind of interesting too, last night, I don't know how many of you watched this or had a chance to see it, but last night New York baseball history was made. Young rookie pitcher for the Giants named Chris Heston threw a no-hitter. It was just his 13th start of his major league career. Significant in its own right. But I thought what was the most interesting and special part about his night was that he had invited his Little League manager to be his guest at the game that night. And if you want to read a really sort of heartfelt story, it's all over the news in the baseball news today, how the manager said, I had tears in my eyes watching him throw it. He said, it's the first time I've ever seen him pitch in a major league uniform, and he throws a no-hitter. So I thought it was just kind of a nice, thanks to his manager as well. Last year, I think we probably talked a little bit about this, Major League Baseball highlighted and helped us celebrate our 75th anniversary. One of the things that they did under Liz Brown, who's our Vice President of Marketing and Strategic Partnerships. Liz worked very closely with Major League Baseball to have all 32 or 30 teams conduct a Little League day or night to say we're told. Many of them are doing it again this year, just to have a Little League day at their ballpark. One little offshoot of that was that we were at a meeting with some folks in Major League Baseball and our television partners, ESPN, a couple of months ago, and Major League Baseball wanted to try to find some ways to continue celebrating Little League. And so came up with a plan so that if you watch Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN at all, you may have seen this, that every Sunday night during the Major League Baseball season, Major League Baseball and ESPN are hosting a team of Little Leaguers at the game as their guests. And they're having them come on the field for batting practice. They let them sit in the dugout with the players before the game. They get to meet the players, get autographs, and then they actually do an interview. All part of Major League Baseball's sort of renewed commitment to promoting the further development of youth baseball. And they recognize that they really need Little League Baseball to do that. And so it's been kind of a refreshing new administration with the new commissioner, undertaking many efforts to try to get down to the grassroots level of the game and do more for us. So just another nice added benefit of that relationship. You may also recall last year we introduced the inaugural Carl E. Stotts Little League Community Award. And I know she's back there because I saw her earlier. Karen Stotts Myers is back there with her husband Jim. Karen, Carl Stotts' daughter. Karen, nice to have you with us today. Thank you for coming. And the inaugural recipient of that award was our own South Little League, who recognized the effort that they made to renovate Lions Field and how integral part of the South Williamsport community the South Little League is. And that's the criteria that we use to make a decision about who will receive that, which Little League will receive that award each year. I'm pleased to share with you that actually last weekend, the second award, Carl E. Stotts Little League Community Award, was presented to the Boardman, Ohio Little League in Boardman, Ohio, on the occasion of the league's 60th anniversary. And it's pretty phenomenal what the Boardman community has done to make that program thrive. And it was nice that we had an opportunity to recognize them. So the second recipient was the Boardman Community Little League, Boardman, Ohio. Nina Johnson-Pitt, our Central Region Director, traveled down for their anniversary celebration and actually made the presentation to them. So we were delighted to make the second presentation of that award. For those of you who are, and most of you who are in this room fall into this category, who are regular attendees of the Little League World Series, I think you're going to notice a change in one of the long-standing traditions of the event this year. Any of you that have ever spent any time at a local Little League park, you know that at the third inning, usually they pick out the cutest kid on the team, and they send him out with his hat off, and they walk around the bleachers, and they shake it in front of you and say, "Can you make a donation?" It's pretty common, and it's been a tradition that's been going on pretty much since Little League started, was to pass the hat at Little League games. And we have done that at the Little League World Series, really, as a way to help offset some of the expenses and costs of maintaining the Little League World Series. Well, this year we're gonna go a little different direction with that. As you know, we're entering into a new 8-year television contract with our partners at ESPN and ABC Sports that will start in 2015. And we're very fortunate to be in a position to be able to do this. So for 2015, here's what we're going to do. We had some discussions. We thought maybe we ought to just eliminate the collections altogether. Kind of a nuisance for the ushers to have to go around every game and take the can and pass it around and ask people to put $1 or $2 in the can. But it is a tradition, and it is what happens at local Little League programs, and we don't want to lose sight of that at the game collections. But we're going to cut it back. We're only going to do one game collection a day. We're going to do it at the last game of every day. So the last game of every day, so for 10 days, we'll do the game collections. And what we will do at the conclusion of the Little League World Series is we're going to take whatever money that we collect, that you and thousands of other guests of ours at the World Series decide to put into the bucket. We're going to take that money and we're going to divide it up equally between 6 organizations that have a pretty strong connection to the Little League World Series and in some way either support us or an important part of our community. And what I'd like to do with you today is share with you who the 6 will be, and we have representatives from each of the 6 here with us today. First is the South Williamsport Fire Department. They provide great services to us during the Little League World Series. They ask for nothing, and so this is a way we can perhaps help support a little bit more of what you're doing. We're happy to have South Williamsport Borough Fire Chief with us today, Casey Lowmiller. Casey, thank you for being here. The second group is the Susquehanna Health Foundation, and we're going to designate the collections to the Catherine Kinder Lundy Breast Health Center through the Susquehanna Health Foundation. Again, many of you in the room know the relationship between the Lundy family and Little League Baseball goes back to the very roots of the start of the program in 1939 when Mr. Lundy was one of the sponsors of the first team and ended up staying associated with Little League Baseball well into his 90s and was served on our Little League Board of Directors. And for those of you who knew Mrs. Lundy, she was a pistol. But she was a wonderful woman, a kind woman, a generous, giving woman. So, you know, John and Cac Lundy together did more for this community than probably a lot of people will ever be able to fully understand. So, plus, Susquehanna Health System donates an immeasurable amount of emergency medical services to us for the operation of the Little League World Series. So we're happy to make the Susquehanna Health Foundation one of the organizations. I know Sherry Watts is here. Sherry is she's the director that really runs the foundation. So Sherry, and I did see John Young sneak in the back over here. John's actually chairman of the foundation board. He's back there. So John and Sherry, thank you both for being here today as well. One of the other groups, and I'm really proud of this one, because these are our girls. The only thing I've ever done to help them is, and I will take credit for this, and they'll tell you, I'm not lying, they needed a name for their team. And our ladies at Little League Baseball have embraced the American Cancer Relay for Life program like nobody else. But they didn't have a name for their team. So Becky Bassett, who's really our coordinator, who's sitting over here, who runs the Relay for Life team for our girls, she said, we need a name. So I said, how about the Little League Intentional Walkers? That's their name. So one of our groups will be the Little League Intentional Walkers. And all the proceeds go, of course, to the American Cancer Relay for Life team. And our in Lycoming County for the American Cancer Relay for Life. And we're going to help keep them there. So, thank you. You've saw our two really special Little Leaguers here today. See if I remember. Lindsay?
Tanya.
Tanya and Gabe, right?
Yeah.
Tanya and Gabe are going to play in the Challenger game, as I mentioned to you later in the Little League World Series. In one of the great institutions in our area that provides services for children and young adults who may be facing some challenges is Hope Enterprises. Many of the kids who play in our Challenger program have gone on and benefited from the services that Hope Enterprises provides. So we're delighted. Jim Campbell, our chair. Thank you, Jim. I've already mentioned Camp Cadet, and actually I was fortunate that the Lycoming County Brotherhood USA organization honored Little League Baseball a month or two ago at their annual dinner, and actually shared with them that evening. But we have designated Lycoming County Brotherhood USA and the Camp Cadet program as one of the organizations that will receive the funding as well. Phil Preziosi, our former mayor of Williamsport and is chairman of the Brotherhood USA, is with us today. So Phil, glad you could be here. Thank you for coming. And I know I saw Tim Nelson earlier. I don't know where Tim's sitting over there. Tim, there's the guy that does all the work. So Tim, we're delighted to try to help a little bit. So we keep Camp Cadet going and make it even better. And in our last group, it's one that's really special to us. We've enjoyed a terrific relationship over the years with the Pennsylvania State Police. And any of you that have driven over here or been around here, they put in a lot of hours, and it doesn't cost us anything. And they provide so much service to us in the area of law enforcement. We wanted to try to figure out how could we incorporate the Pennsylvania State Police into this. Well, what we discovered was they actually have a foundation called Troopers Helping Troopers. And any funds that go to the Troopers Helping Troopers Foundation are used for families of state police officers who have fallen on perhaps a hard time, who have lost an officer in the line of duty, suffered injury, just basically a way for troopers to help troopers. So we decided that given the unfortunate circumstances that happened with our Pennsylvania State Police about a year or so ago, and we'd like to name include the state police in this group. So Dave Young, the commanding officer, captain of Troop F down in Toursville, is with us today, and we're gonna put the money into the Troopers Helping Troopers Fund. But Dave, thank you for all that you guys do to help keep our event safe and enjoyable for everybody. So those are our 6 organizations that will benefit from all of your generosity. And lastly, most importantly, certainly a genuine thank you to our core of volunteers who really make the World Series special each year. Wayne already alluded to it. Every volunteer is important to us. Every one of you are special. The team hosts just happen to have a role that gets them really more closely associated directly with the teams and the coaches that are here, and so they get a lot of attention. And they're like spoiled kids. They need it. Most of them. Most of them. They know we love them. You. But whether it's the grounds crew, whether it's the ushers in the stadium, whether it's the folks who help Melissa in the concession stand, every area of our program at the World Series, every area of our operation of the World Series relies on some volunteer help to make it go. And we're grateful for all of that. So we look forward to a terrific 2015 Little League World Series. Again, thank you all for being here today, and we'll look forward to seeing you all in about 2 months from now. Thanks.
Thank you, Steve. I had the pleasure, and during lunch I asked Gabe and Jacob what their favorite part of being a buddy is. And they said allowing the players to do something that they love. So thank you guys for being such an important part of the Challenger program. Thanks to Mary Lee and her staff for the lunch. A few announcements before we conclude. The World Series Grand Slam Parade will be Wednesday, August 19th in downtown Williamsport. Grand Marshal will be former MLB pitcher Bruce Sutter, one of the most dominant relievers of his era. The Little League Baseball World Series opening ceremonies are slated for Thursday, August 20th at 11 a.m. at Volunteer Stadium. Uptown Music Collective will entertain guests prior to opening ceremonies. The World of Little League Museum, an official store